Welcome to the Quantum Conversations podcast. My name is Sarah Kleiner. Today, my co host, Carrie Bennett, and I are going to be talking to you about these complex topics in quantum physics and circadian biology on an everyday person level. And that's really the goal of this podcast, is to bring these topics, which have been extremely transformative to Carrie and I in our own personal health journeys and our family's health journeys, as well as hundreds of clients over the last few years that have been applying this information. So Carrie and I have created this podcast to really take these more complex topics and make them understandable to the everyday person. We're so excited that you're here. If you do enjoy the show, please make sure to hit the like button and leave us a comment if you're on YouTube. And if you're on the audio only podcast, give a moment to leave us a review over on Apple or Spotify, and it will help to get the show out to more people. If you have a moment to share the conversation with a friend or family member in a Facebook group, Instagram post, or just via text, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And we really want to thank you for being here. Before we jump into today's show, I wanted to let you know that Carrie and I have several free resources, which you can find down in the show notes, as well as courses where we teach people about these topics and how to apply them to your everyday life. So if you enjoy our conversations and you want to learn more, make sure you head down to the show notes to check out my resources, Carrie's resources, my courses, and Carrie's courses. We also co-teach a course called Quantum Fertility, which helps women who have tried everything to improve their fertility and to get pregnant. We've had several women over the age of 40 who have had multiple other failed fertility treatments to have success after doing our program. So check that out below as well. And the last thing I want to let you know about is that Carrie and I are hosting a health transformation summit in January the 25th through the 31st. We have several speakers that we've handpicked that we believe are going to help you transform your health in 2024. There will be a link in the show notes for you to sign up. All the topics, all the speakers, they will be free. And if you decide you want to have the recordings, have lifetime access, you will also get a package of gift courses to come with the summit. So we are so excited to share this health transformation summit with you so that you can go ahead and really transform your health in 2024. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We are so glad to have you here, and let's jump into the conversation. Everybody, welcome back to Quantum Conversations. Today, you might notice my voice doesn't sound like 100% me. So that has cued us to talk a little bit about how we deal with seasonal illness or just, getting sick, cold, flu, that kind of stuff in general. Right, Carrie?
Yeah, totally. I think we're really ingrained to think of the flu or the cold as something bad, something wrong with us, something that we need to get rid of right away. Like we got to suppress the symptoms, like it's horrible. And from studying quantum biology, but also diving into Dr. Cowan, into Tom's work and stuff, I really actually think that these infections that we might get or these symptoms that we get during quote unquote cold and flu season is the body trying to get rid of stuff that no longer serves it. It's a signal to say, okay, let's upregulate some drainage that allows your body to clear something.
Yep, exactly. And, I just had my son, and he hasn't been sick. He was sick when he was 5 months old. He got a little virus and he was puking everywhere, and that was a little bit scary, but we got through it. But he has never actually had a fever before, and he just turned 14 months. And so Sunday he was throwing up, and then a fever came on, and it was like my husband's like, oh no, and it wasn't like 105. It wasn't like a scary high fever, which I know happens with some kids. And by the way, none of this episode is medical advice. We have to put that in there. But I kind of was like, oh yeah, he's getting rid of something. And my husband has kind of one foot in what I do, and he's like bought in to a certain extent, but then he still has one foot of like, my wife is crazy. I, I still need to like consult other people. And he's like, we should give the baby some Tylenol. And I'm like, nope, we've never given him that. We're not doing it now. He needs to have this fever. We're going to put him in an Epsom salt bath. As long as he's wetting his diaper and he is drinking, he didn't want to eat for like a couple of days. He really didn't want to eat. He ate blueberries, his blueberries, because he's talking now. It's so cute. But yeah, he was fine. We watched him.
He laid on my chest for like about 2 days straight, which I love because he's running around everywhere now and never slows down. And he had this fever, and now he's today like completely better, like happy, totally fine. And I'm glad we didn't do the Tylenol thing. I did do some homeopathy, Epsom salt bath, Quinton minerals, and
Water.
just
Yeah.
water. And
Mhm.
and he was okay. And now I now I have something, and I've been doing the same thing for me, Epsom salt bath, Quinton minerals, lots of hydration, sauna. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. Let's dive into that, right?
yeah.
Because I think a lot of people would be. I don't think we need to go towards the whole virus story right now. Like I don't think.
No.
But what I think we need to talk about though is that the body goes through periodic times when it wants to get rid of stuff. Detox.
A
Yeah, and
natural detox.
completely. One of them does happen to be in the middle of winter. I feel cold and flu season, and we hear, oh, it's because we're indoors more and we're surrounded by all these germs. Yeah, no, I think it really is because that's a seasonal time where the body goes through this cycle of getting rid of what no longer serves it. It also happens to coincide with a time of the year where if we were living truly by these seasonal cycles, we would be hunkering down, right? We would be home. We would be resting more. We naturally would be just in a state where our body would be able to maybe handle the elimination of these things without, oh, now I got to get my kid to this practice. And oh, no, now I got to go to this holiday party. The things that we're doing in modern society. And so I really, truly view the cold and flu, these acute illnesses, as an opportunity. It's like my body is finally, it feels like it has the opportunity to get rid of stuff. I also noticed a very similar type reaction in some clients who have started to build what I would call redox. So in some clients who started utilizing red light therapy, in some clients who started utilizing more sunlight on the skin and earthing and grounding, they'll sometimes come back to me and be like, I'm getting a bit of a fever. Or, I'm getting a bit of, I feel like my throat, I'm getting mucus and like
sore.
Yep. I'm like, that's a good thing. I said, your body is upregulating what it needs to do to get stuff out. And I'm of the opinion that a fever within the range of what you can deem safe and healthy for you and your family, is actually a sign that your body is increasing exclusion zone water inside of your cells. And it's called exclusion zone water because it excludes stuff. And so when a cell makes more exclusion zone water, that gelled water pushes stuff out that the cell doesn't want. That gets pushed into the space outside of the cells, the interstitial fluid, where our lymphatic system, our immune system lives, and can clear that for us. And yeah, I mean, that process does maybe involve upregulating some more mucus and drainage. And for kids, it might be diarrhea or, vomiting.
Yeah.
For us, it might be like a fever and just kind of feeling like we don't want to move a lot. We just kind of want to rest because there's might be some, but it's a support. And what we want to do is, I'm always telling people, you want to support it, not suppress it.
Right.
Don't
take a bunch of Mucidex or, Sudafed or whatever to push it down so you can go to work and keep up with your regular schedule. Your body wants you resting. And that's, thankfully, I have help with the kids today. So I was able to take an Epsom salt bath during the daytime. Just amazing. Do some red light therapy, do some sauna, just take it easy. I'm sitting by the fire right now talking to you. And it's like, yeah, you have to take this as a sign that your body wants you to rest and slow down, because that is how we detox. That's how we repair.
Totally. And so people might say, well, why does it seem like I'm getting a contagious thing passed from person to person, right? And that's something that I want you to look into yourself if you want to deep dive and do some research into this. But that being said, I do feel like resonance, meaning the vibrations you're giving off, are impacting the people in your environment. The right vibrations I give off are impacting the people in my environment. And I have seen a couple of instances of someone actually truly going through a coached detox protocol, right? Like really doing some stuff to facilitate detox pathways in their body, having symptoms, expressing symptoms, and those symptoms get transferred to the rest of the family members, even though those family members are not going through the detox protocol.
Wow.
So you have things that make you go, right. Is it more than just this idea of I didn't wash my hands, I catch a germ, and then that germ makes me sick, and then I cough and I spread that germ to my kids. And I kind of want everyone to kind of enhance their viewpoint of this change and shift, and like just maybe consider a more comprehensive theory about what's going on, and to view these seasonal symptoms as a beneficial thing.
Right.
I frankly, I'm of the opinion, on one of my questions on my questionnaire is, do you ever get sick? And if someone says, I haven't been sick in 10 years, I'm always just like, roll.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're coming to me clearly for some health condition that you want support with. And you haven't maybe had fever, you haven't had excessive mucus, you haven't had any of these symptoms of clearing, if you will, facilitating extra clearing from the body. And so never being sick isn't necessarily a good thing either.
Yeah, I get that from people too. You're like, well, it's not always good if you're not ever sick.
Yeah. You don't have to be sick all the time, right? There's a fine line, right? And you don't have to get sick every year. Right? Everyone's kind of detox cycles are different depending on their environment, depending on how you clean, what toxins they're exposed to, depending on, just the needs of their bodies. But it's just different ways to think about it. Like, cause I think we assume if I'm never sick, that's good. It's excellent. And if, and if I get these seasonal symptoms, it's bad. There's something wrong with me. It's like, no, let's elevate that conversation just a little bit.
I think that's really interesting what you say about resonance, and just something to think about, because Dr. Sarah just left on Saturday, right? And it was Sunday that my son started throwing up with this virus. My husband had already kind of had this kind of like respiratory thing he'd been fighting off all of last week. And I've been sleeping in the same bed with him, and I've been like not resonating with I never get what he has. It's so weird. He'll get like deathly ill, and I'm like, I'm fine, and the same thing with me. Like, he doesn't usually get what I get, but Sarah was here, and I was messaging her, and I'm like, okay, well, James is sick. He's got this virus, my daughter has something going on. My husband went, I'm like, you're probably going to get, she's like, I'm not. And I'm like, she's like, she just flew, from Atlanta to the UK, like a long ass flight, trapped in an airplane. If anybody's going to get sick, it's from a flight, like
non-native EMFs, the dehydration, the circadian disruption.
The time change, like 6-hour time difference. She's fine, right? She's totally fine. But she also, when she was here, she was using my cold I had to stop using the thing because she put it down to like 32 degrees and it was like filled with ice. And I'm like, I can't go in that. Like,
I mean, she was, I think she still does like lake swims, right? Now?
She does lake swims in the UK. The woman had a tan, like a dark tan. Still here we are, like mid-December. She had a dark tan.
Melanin with cold.
Yeah, and she was cold plunging like 3 times a day. Which please don't take that as
please don't do that.
Please don't do that.
She knows her body. She knows
that she could. And I have that giant red light panel. I have the Firehawk. And so I would look in the I'd like look down in my yard in the red light thing and be like, she just did another freaking cold plunge. Like she's doing it again. Like
cold and red.
And then she's in my backyard grounding constantly and in the sun. And so like, and she's like, I won't be sick. She's like, I'm not going to be sick. And I'm like,
it's a really cool. Yeah. No, I mean, it's probably not, but like, that's a side note. That's an amazing combination. If you've never done cold and then red, or frankly, red and then sauna, I like both of those combinations. I think they're really, really supportive. So I have my go-tos when I first start to feel symptoms that we're talking about, right? In terms of kind of supporting my body through it. You kind of alluded to yours. My go-to has always been heat. Ever since I was a child, it's been heat. And I think of it this way. I remember when my mom would try to like keep me home from like basketball practice when I started to get like a little bit of a scratchiness. And I'm like, no, I have to go because I feel better afterwards. I didn't know why I felt better afterwards, but I know it had to do with me generating heat inside of me, right? And that sweat, right? And so if you think about a fever, that heat that I generate with movement, that builds exclusion zone water. That facilitates that elimination process, that detoxification process in my body in the same way that a fever does. Nowadays, my go-to is a sauna, right? Like I feel like as soon as I feel the first little signs of sickness, I don't stay in to just deplete myself for an hour, right?
No.
But I go in and I heat my body
Like
up.
you give yourself a fever, basically.
Exactly. You just
Yep.
facilitate an increase in your body temperature.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like that is so supportive.
Mhm.
It allows that the symptoms to do their thing, but without me necessarily getting knocked down and out for, an extended period of time or the symptoms
Right.
just dragging on.
Mhm. Yeah. I felt like with my son, like the warm bath was I did that twice yesterday, twice the day before, and he just sat there and he was totally fine. And yeah, we were good. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think there's something to the fever. And we are so quick to, like my husband, like, oh, we got to give him the Tylenol. It's like, no, it's when you do that, you're actually depleting your body's ability to detoxify.
Yeah,
You're
maybe people don't know that. I mean, you want to talk about glutathione and
yeah.
Tylenol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. Go
No, you
ahead.
go ahead.
Rock, paper, scissors. That's what we do with my kids. Right? So yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize, but it depletes glutathione. Tylenol depletes glutathione, and
Yep.
glutathione is used in what's called phase 2 liver detoxification. So as your body is trying to get rid of stuff, it converts it ultimately into a more toxic thing. It's called a more reactive substance. And then phase 2 liver detoxification takes that more reactive substance and then basically attaches something to it so that it can be pushed out into the bile, right? You can eliminate it from the body. Mainly via the stool. And so if we're taking something that needs glutathione as the binder, the attachment, the conjugator, in order to ultimately get rid of it, and we don't have it because we've depleted it with chronic Tylenol use or even acute Tylenol use, right?
Yeah.
From something like an acute symptoms. Then all of a sudden those toxic intermediates are just there, right? And that can make people feel even worse.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
It's what you would typically hear with like when someone has a Herxheimer reaction, their body goes through phase 1 really easily, but then that phase 2, they're lacking some nutrient or something in there. And it makes them feel worse. That's what you hear with the Herxheimer reaction. But that's also sometimes what I hear with people when they take something like Tylenol. They feel the symptom of a fever or maybe some pain go down, but the ability to get rid of symptoms drags on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things like it's not supporting your body's ability to heal on its own. It's actually suppressing. So yeah, that's why.
And we're not giving you medical advice. You
No.
choose. If you find use with this and if you feel Tylenol is supportive for you, go for it. I'm all about sharing information for people to be able to make their best decisions.
Right. And I mentioned earlier, my son at 5 months was throwing up and unable to keep anything down. I did take him to the emergency room,
right?
Because I was worried that he was going to be dehydrated. He's so little and it had been 12 hours that I was breastfeeding, and he was just not keeping anything down at all. And I was terrified because he's a tiny little baby, right? And you have to be really careful with babies and you have to know like, okay, I got to get this baby some medical care. They need to be seen. There is a time and a place for allopathic medicine. I do believe I might get some people disagreeing with me on that, but I do think there is a time and you have to have that discernment. I can't give that to you. Carrie can't give that to you. You have to have that discernment for yourself and for your family. And that can be a tough line to walk sometimes for people, but yeah, I mean, this time I'm glad we didn't have to go that route. When he was sick at 5 months, I did. And, he actually wasn't dehydrated when I got there because I had been shooting isotonic in his mouth via syringe. I was like, you're going to eat this down. And I think that actually helped him to not be completely dehydrated by the time we got there and got seen. Because, you get there and then you wait for hours and it's the worst place on earth, I swear.
It's not conducive to healing.
No, that's why my husband's like, do we need to take him to the ER? I was like, I am laying on this comfortable couch. He's laying on my chest.
He's just resting. Yeah.
He's resting. I'm resting. Why the hell would I want to go out in the 30-degree weather, pack him up, put him in his car seat, and then go sit in a waiting room with a bunch of people under blue lights indoor? No.
No.
For hours on end. No. To be probably given Tylenol. Like that's probably what he's got a fever. Let's give him some Tylenol, bring it down. Like that's what that's what they're trained for, you know?
Sure. No, exactly. And I'm just of the opinion that I think with all of this, we're just helping to maybe coach some mindset shifts in terms of like, not freaking out about this being a bad thing that you have to get rid of as quickly as possible or suppress. It's like, I view these things now as an opportunity. Here's an interesting example. For a few weeks in a row. So my daughter's school, now she's in the 2nd grade, my daughter's school gives them, they go to the local YMCA for swim lessons 1 day a week, right? And they do that for a few weeks in a row. So on Mondays, she's had swim lessons. Every Monday night, she always says, my throat feels scratchy. And you hear her breathing, the mucus, right? Listen, I'm not one to deny my child a fun environment with her classmates, the opportunity to do those swim lessons and stuff, but I'm not going to fool myself. That's that chlorine in that air in the air, but also in the water is not ideal, especially in terms of the amount that they use, right? I know they use it to try to control whatever they want to control with it, right? But it's a ton of chlorine. And so what does she do? She expresses symptoms to help her body clear stuff out. Gonna guarantee you she comes home from school today perfectly fine, would never know, right? Would never know. And that this has just been a pattern, right? And if I were to be like, she's coming down with something, what do I need to give her? Does she need a sore throat medication? Does she need a sinus medication, right? It's like, I would actually potentially be suppressing her body's ability to clear what she was being exposed to with those chlorine exposures. And so it's just like one of those things where got to kind of take that step back and just be like, wait a second. Okay. Why might she be expressing these symptoms? I saw this pattern and it was so interesting to be like, oh, she's getting rid of the chlorine. Okay, come on. So we prop her pillow up a little bit, right? Prop her up a little bit when she sleeps so the drainage is a little bit better. And I give her some fluids to sip on, to soothe it. But then, she wakes up in the morning and she's okay. And then she's going to bounce out of the car today after school and just gonna be super happy. So
yeah, I mean, that's what our bodies are meant to do, is heal. And I use things like homeopathy. And that's another thing that has to do with resonance that I think a lot of people don't understand. Because I posted in my stories last night on Instagram that I was, taking an Epsom. I was trying to fight off something. And so I took a little homeopathy and was taking an Epsom salt bath. And everyone's like, well, what did you take? Which remedy did you take?
Oh, no.
It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Like the remedy that you take has to resonate with your body and the particular thing that it is dealing with at that time. And you can't just give and I see people online doing it all the time, but when you've actually worked with a trained homeopath, you'll get a remedy for something and you're like, well, this is for like poison ivy, and he doesn't have poison ivy. And she's like, yeah, I know, but the symptoms are matching up with and so like,
you want to know what, not to interrupt you, but do you want to know what I find so fascinating about what homeopathy has worked for my children? It's the personality, right? Yes. You know how each remedy has like some personality traits. It's like, hands down, that's what causes the resonance effects with my kids.
Yeah. For whatever reason, and please, again, not medical advice. Whenever I get a scratchy throat, if I start taking belladonna every couple of hours, knocks it out. Right. Yeah. I'm still draining. I still don't feel awesome. I still need to rest and take it easy, but the sore throat is totally gone. And that happens anytime I feel a sore throat, I'll start with the belladonna or coughing. Same thing, coughing. But that remedy, if you take that,
might be very different.
It may do nothing for you.
Yeah.
This thing about homeopathy, it's either going to work or it's going to do nothing. It's going to be like sugar pellets and done,
I do love homeopathy though for kids because it's an easy one for them to take, and I feel like kids work really well from a resonance perspective if you can find those matches. So for 2 of my kids, they when they get sick they get angry, and so chamomilla works so.
James does well with chamomilla. Yes, he does well. He does well with pulsatilla and chamomilla. I gave him the pulsatilla with the fever, and that one worked really well for him. But if you look at like, here's all the different remedies that can work for fever, for earache, for this, for that, the other, you don't know which one is actually going to work for your kid. That's the benefit of working with a trained homeopath, because they're going to talk to you about like anger, the emotion. There's
Mhm.
always an emotional thing that's going on with the illness or with your kid. And yeah, that's typically how they choose particular remedies. So it's
Totally. We got this remedy because every time my son back in, this was probably actually this is probably just over a year ago, he had something that was causing a lot of vomiting. And right before he would vomit, he would get really angry. And right after he vomited, he would get so angry. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, that's the remedy that we got for him. And I was just like, it had nothing to do with necessarily that chamomilla was really good for the vomiting that he was experiencing. It was his emotional reaction. And that really resonated with him. And it did. It's amazing how much that really, yeah, I think what it did was it calmed his nervous system down to allow his body to go through it.
Yeah.
And then the symptoms were able to clear up that much faster.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing about homeopathy. It's not like taking Tylenol.
It's not suppressive.
Yeah, it's not suppressive. It actually supports your body to put blood flow to the right places or make more exclusion zone water or it works on this like resonance effect. And so that's why I've done so many different podcasts about homeopathy, because it is very much in line, I think, with quantum health.
Totally. I
Yeah.
think I think anything that works with resonance and vibration really pairs well with this because um, in the end of things, what is light doing with us? How is it communicating with us? It's a wave, it's an energy, it's a vibration, right? It's a vibration. And so it's we describe it in different ways in terms of the wavelength or the color, but all it is a vibration that is a code for my body to interpret. And that's the exact same thing that's happening with homeopathy. It happens with some people have their tools are essential oil, other people it's herbal remedies.
Right.
The way these things work though is from the vibrational
Right.
aspect of them, I think, more than anything else.
Right. Because some people swear by like elderberry or, everyone has their little things that they go to. And yeah, it is like what resonates with your body, with what's
Totally.
going on. So there's not, people don't like it again, because we've talked about this on different episodes in different lights, so many different ways. There's not like a cut and dry formula. This is not the Huberman podcast where we're going to say do 11 minutes of cold and 57 minutes of sauna and
and that's perfect for everyone as well.
Yes, this is he puts out a lot of great stuff, but like people want this specific thing. And
well, that's why he's so popular, because he does. I do feel like he does his due diligence in terms
Definitely.
of it. I feel like from a research perspective, he goes through that, but he gives fairly clear cut guidelines, and I think people love that. It's like great, but I want everyone to realize that those are suggestions. You still have to be in your own body,
right?
And a lot of people want even when I see with one-on-one sessions and stuff, people want me to tell them right like how to change and how to shift, and my response is generally, how is your body feeling? What do you feel like is most supportive for you, right?
Yes.
I don't have this XYZ playbook, right? Where if X do Y, if Z start back over at A, it's like, it doesn't work like that. Everything that works with clients works based on resonance. So if something isn't resonating with you in terms of it feels better to do more than 11 minutes of cold plunging, Sarah Pugh, great.
Right.
If that feels like way too much for you, or you notice things like your period is delayed or your body's giving you signals it's too much, it's too much. I don't care what research showed that was ideal and perfect for people, right? That's one study, right? Typically one study. And so, yeah, you really do have to be in your body and see, how is this resonating with me? It sounds too simple, right? But if you can trust that little antenna that's either going off like, yeah, that feels really supportive, or no, something feels off, I don't feel like I should continue down this road, then listen to your body, please.
Right. And I had a group member the other day who was just like, all right, I'm going to do sunrise, and then I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to do cold plunge, and then I'm going to do grounding, and then I'm going to do red light therapy, and then I'm going to do sauna. And like, should I mix this up, or is that the perfect formula for every day? And I was just like, whoa, girl.
It's cool. I mean, if you want to do it, try it. But like, if that feels overwhelming, then you can mix it up.
And Sarah jumped in before I could, because she helps me manage my group. And she was just like, she was like, I cold plunged 3 times a day, and I did grounding, and I did all this other stuff. And like, there's no perfect formula for you. You have to be in touch with your body. And then she responded back and said, I used to have coffee for breakfast and run off stress hormones for years, and that felt great until my body completely crashed. So I just don't trust my body right now. And
it's a good point.
my response was, hey, like, here's the protocol. You're doing the 21-day reset. You have the group of support. Very basic things you're doing are going to help you to become more in touch with your body. That's why the program is laid out the way that it is. It's all the free stuff you and I talk about, like sunrise, sunset, grounding, blue blockers, breakfast, like the very bare bones basics. When you start getting really consistent with that stuff, especially the sunrise, especially following those light and dark cycles, even though it sounds too simple to work, you start being able to tap into your own intuition and like, this feels good, or this doesn't resonate. This isn't.
I got a perfect example of this, right? I think this is really when I recognized that I could trust my intuition again. Cause you and I both went down that journey of coffee for breakfast and like riding on cortisol and adrenaline. And exercise classes, you and I have the same story, right?
Oh, girl.
But that being said, I found that as soon as the artificial light at night to me was viscerally, it gave me that visceral feeling of, ew, that is not healing. That does not feel good. That is when I started to be able to trust my intuition about everything. It's like all of a sudden I gave my body what was healing, what was supportive, the correct light signaling, what signaling when bedtime was, things that like earthing and grounding that support my nervous system and, support, energy levels in the body and charge status and things like that. So now my body it's like I can when something gives me the wrong vibe, it hits me. It absolutely hits me. And then when something gives me a good vibe, I'm like, this feels good, right? Like, so that's why, I play around with things like, oh, wow, this red light therapy panel feels good. I'm going to flip around and do it again, right?
Yeah.
And I can trust my body on that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I think is the take home message is learning to get intuitive and listen to your body 100%.
Yeah. And then play around and see when you get that, maybe those visceral cues of like, maybe these AirPods these AirPods don't feel like that. There's something I want to put into my body, or maybe that blue light at night, going to that movie at night with my friends. Oh, that feels a little off. Start to recognize that that's your body saying, no, that's a stressor. That's not necessarily going to serve you well. And then you can key in on the other things as well in your life that your body might be trying to support you through. And you can listen to that resonance antenna a little bit deeper.
Yeah. And don't fight the urge to go to bed early. That's one thing. I get this so much in my group because for whatever reason, it's the type A driven cortisol ladies that come to me and they're like, I'm so tired at like 8:00. And I'm like,
go to bed.
It's December. Like we're about to hit winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. Like, go to bed. It's 8:00. 8:00 sounds fabulous. If you can, you're tired, go, don't
totally
push yourself to stay up late. If you're getting that signal from your body, go to bed. We're just taught again to override and suppress. And by the end of the time of doing that, we, again, like the lady in my group was saying, you don't know what to trust and who to listen to. And I totally had compassion for what she was saying. Cause I'm like, yeah, I've totally been there. I totally understand what you're saying. Do these things, trust the process. You're going to get to that point where, again, you can say, oh yeah, this is good. This is not good. This resonates. This doesn't resonate. And it will happen. It might take a little bit of time if you've been doing these things for years and years and years, but it will definitely happen again.
Yeah, totally. And I almost feel like we need to we almost need to put out like it's anticipated that when you go to bed at 8:00 at night, that you're going to wake up earlier than you might anticipate, right? You may have a 4 a.m. wake up and you have to, and that's not pathological too. Like I get that a lot, like, well, fell asleep at 7:30. Now I'm up at 3:30 because my body's fully rested. I'm like, then use the time in bed to just relax,
meditate, pray,
breath work, right? Yes. Meditate, pray, visualize, there's a lot of things you can do then too. I think that's part of it too. People fear going to bed that early because then they fear that early wake up and it's like, oh no, I'm just laying there and I can't wake up now. And, and so it's like, drop the fear, right? Like listen to your body. Your body's had enough sleep, but guess what? If your alarm isn't set until 6:30, you have an opportunity. This is 3 hours of just calm, breathing, laying,
visualize. That's
visualizing.
what I do.
I do too.
Yeah. It's so important too, especially if you're trying to elicit some change in your life. We want to have this perfect formula and do all this stuff, but you don't take into account this mental shift that has to happen. And you have to visualize the thing that you're working towards as though it's already happened. Like that is the quantum piece that people miss. That's the piece that people are like, well, I'm doing the Andrew Huberman formula and I'm feeling like crap. It's not working for me. I'm like, well, what's going on up here? You know, like how's all that working for you? Spending any time visualizing? Are you spending any time imagining that future self that you're trying to become? Because
in the present.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And feeling like what it would be like to have that, be that, do that. Like,
And if
you
it's
gotta-
too different,
gotta
if
go
you don't want
there.
to focus on your body, you can focus on your career, a relationship, you know. So I mean, it's unlimited, right? In terms
Yep.
of what you're able to kind of visualize and live as, right? Like kind
Yep.
of co-create your reality. So
Exactly.
and I mean,
Exactly.
just try it. It sounds too good
Yeah.
to be true, but just try.
Trust me, it's changed my life. I
Same
mean,
here. Same here.
completely changed my life in a short amount of time. I mean,
Totally. Totally.
completely. So it is very possible. And yeah. Well, I know that you had mentioned talking about melanin, but I just got hit up with the hey, can you pick up Alexis in 10 minutes text message?
Yeah, totally. We
So maybe
yeah,
we can hit up melanin next week. I don't know. I've
Yeah.
been getting a lot of questions about that one lately.
we totally could. I think let's do a deep dive into it. It's one that I think people's minds are going to be blown when they understand that maybe the air that we breathe, the oxygen that we breathe, isn't the main source of oxygen in our tissues. So,
Oh, I'm excited. I'm
dun,
gonna
dun, dun.
have to subscribe, click the bell.
My kids are like, "Do you do that in your videos? Like, turn on that? What is it?
Hit the
Turn
thumbs
on
up."
notifications." And I'm like, "No, we do not do that."
We hope you will. Leave us a review.
Yeah, right. Comment down below what you thought of this episode.
But yeah, let's definitely. I'll make a note that we talk about that next week.
Okay, sounds good.
As always, it's been fun.